I want to thank the Simon communities for bringing this bill forward, and thank Deputy O'Brien for coordinating the all-party effort around supporting this bill from Simon. As people know, the bill is trying to give people 3 months leeway who are faced with eviction into homelessness, and giving the local authorities the right to trigger that 3-month extension. But most importantly, to be honest, the most important part of the bill is the requirement that during that 3 months, the local authorities then try and prevent them from becoming homeless. And that brings me to really the key thing. You see, Fianna Fáil and the Greens were in government at the time, said they were going to end homelessness by 2010. That didn't happen. Fine Gael Labour programme for government, 2011, said they were going to end homelessness by the end of that government. That didn't happen. There was a promise to get everybody out of hotels by 2016. That didn't happen. And you can go on through the list of failed promises. Now, I want to know, does the government actually want to stop people going into homelessness? Do they want to? Because if they do, they can. They can just do it. And it's set down as a policy that nobody will be put into homelessness, but that the local authority will make sure they are housed rather than go into emergency accommodation. Very simple, can be done within that 3 months. But there is no will to do it. And I have so many cases facing into Christmas, and I'll give them a shout out again. You know, the family who's in a hotel with 6 kids, 4 different homeless accommodations now for 4 years. And were recently threatened. Fair play to Minister O'Brien, he intervened. But God, if he hadn't, I don't know what I would think of him. When the family were going to be evicted from homeless accommodation, who've been in homeless accommodation for 4 years, because they went briefly over the income thresholds that haven't been reviewed yet, even though the review started 4 years ago. Another family, young woman who's working for public sector, you know, and her daughter in homeless accommodation, also threatened with eviction from homeless services because she's doing extra work, working with vulnerable children, and her overtime and extra hours took her over the threshold, threatened with being put out on the street. Or the man who came in to me last week, worked all his life, had the money to pay his rent, didn't need help from the support, but then had a chronic accident, disaster, catastrophic accident, and now can't work because of that, has 3 children, been trying to get medical priority, and not denied it, came in and just sat down in front of me and just started bawling, crying because he was given a date in 2 weeks' time to leave from a HAP tenancy. From a HAP tenancy. Okay, and I could go on through the list, but I don't have time, of people I'm dealing with. And believe me, they're on to me as we come towards Christmas, saying, any news, Richard? Any news? Anything from the Minister? Anything from the Council? Right? Now, it is entirely possible for the government to say we're not going to allow that to happen anymore. But they don't do it. Because, I don't know, a few landlords might be annoyed. I just do not understand it. Why does this go on? Why do we continue to let this happen? Place finders is a joke. I mean, the place finders are supposed to find places within limits when they know, when everybody knows, you only have to go on daft.ie and just look and say there's nowhere available within the limits that are set, that are the maximum limits. It's a joke. So by definition, you're homeless if you need a place, if you don't have a roof over your head or you're threatened with eviction. Right? Something could be done about that. And the question is the government going to do it? Are we just going to faff around with a load of promises that were never kept to before, and I doubt will be kept to this time? And I'll just finish on this in my 15 seconds. Oireachtas have to have a plan in for social housing for the end of the middle of December, and they've been told by the government to have 1,994 social homes by 2026. But there's 7,000 families on the housing list. So by definition, we will still be having this conversation at the end of the government's plan to deal with the housing crisis. I mean, can we just get real?